Stand by.
Working for the weekend, and I want to see a show. I flip on the book of face. Yeah, I know where to go. There's a man over there into the music scene, showing lots of love for the community. With great advice, I know who I should go see.
Man, I feel like I'm on a ship with you today. It's like rocking.
That way?
No, I like it that way, right there.
Like this?
Right there is perfect. Yes. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing
I
all
gotta
right.
fucking put this. I can't even.
Oh my.
Oh my god. I have nowhere to hand hold this.
Right. Wow, we got a lot of people in here.
Do we?
Let's see who's shaking already. Yeah. What's up? Glenn, we'll tell you the topic in a moment. Give me just a second to make sure we got Ceris on here.
I feel like I'm on a delay.
You're not on a delay with me,
okay.
but you're fine. What's up, Kareem? Thank you for being here. Ray Renee. Kevin in the house. How you doing, Kevin? Ryan Schwab has joined. He's graced us with his presence today. Thank you, Ryan Schwab. All right. Scotty Long in the house and the Rick Kern. The Rick Kern. Your friend Rick. That was a great show yesterday, by the way, with those guys. The Bell Dwellers. It was fun. If you missed it, go back and watch it. It was fun. Talking about their debut gig this past weekend. And Ted's in the house. How you doing, Ted? Good to see you. All right, Jimmy Kilroy. What's shaking? Ceris, can you see any comments at all?
Well, I'm looking at it on the Facebook on my computer.
Okay, good. Yeah, that'll be real late, but it'll be all right. And Steve's popping the corn and kicking back, he said. What's going on, Steve? Craigus. Sean Cooper, how are you? Sean Cooper in the house from Milano's fame. David Lacey, how are you? We're going to talk today, guys, about rainouts and the recent rash of cancellations and such in the music business. Oh, my. Please don't text me in the show, people. I know you're on here. I do. I see you. So I can actually get this done. I'm the producer, the director, everything. And Ceris just looks pretty. How you doing, Ceris?
All right. I got, I don't know if it's allergies or a cold, but I got something that's, hitting on. Yeah.
You got the snifflies, it sounds like, for sure. Yeah. Look at the lovely Gina McKean.
Feel good. You know, it's Gina's birthday.
I know. That's what I was just getting ready to say. Yeah. But let me turn you up a little bit. You're a little weak on my end there on the sound wise. So, Ceris, how you been after this bold weekend of craziness that you had your 5th anniversary? You doing all right?
I'm doing.
Besides the sniffles.
Sleepy.
Okay. Still sleepy. I don't think you rested for an entire month getting ready for all this.
Didn't. Yeah, that was a hectic week. Especially, well, you know, that's probably not the best idea to open a new business and throw an event like this.
Yeah, I always say you're a glutton for punishment, lady. You pile it on.
My favorite thing.
Yes, you love stress. You do, and you rock. You rock this weekend. It was a great show all weekend long, and I didn't get to be there Saturday for CFG, but the videos, it looked like it was just so fantastic. Good. You actually were cutting loose a little bit. I saw in one of the videos. So you got a chance to take a break that night, and that's good to see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see who else we've got on here. Dave Shore's in the house. Yes. Greg says rained out at work. Good. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you, Greg Skinner. Kareem says frickin' monsoon came out of nowhere. Very fitting for today's topic. Yeah, it is. And it is raining now. It's raining here at my place as well. So Let's chat about this, Karis. Lots of rainouts going on, and there's been a lot of buzz about it on the interwebs. We've seen a lot of people comment because we're friends with like a bunch of musicians and then venues and things, and some of them lately. There's been a lot of heat about pulling the trigger too quick. I know the other night there was all these storms forecasted, and they said nope, we're going to cancel this stuff. Clock Tower up at Westchester did that, and then all of a sudden it didn't rain. So it's hard call to make when you're running an outdoor event, isn't it?
I mean, it's impossible to really know what the right and wrong thing to do. And I think the reason why, I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming the reason why they cancel it so early is because it's a lot to pack up your gear. And like, once you start unpacking it, I guess the venue would, I guess they would probably have to pay or whatever it may be. It's a lot of work. So before you start having to do it, I guess they're trying.
Yeah, I get it. And lightning concerns too with the crowd and those kind of things are always, liability of that is certainly big. And Gina says it's allergies and the Canadian smoke. Well, Karis is the Canadian smoke.
Right. But
You're the Canadian
we
smoke
were having
show.
this conversation on the Facebook the other day about who's responsible or what. I personally think it all comes down to communication, in my opinion. I do believe if the artist and the sound guy is already unloading, well, then they need to get paid. Or compensated.
So often you see these set up and they're fully set and ready, and then it monsoons. And Mike Kuntz commented on the page today about that. He does production at all these outdoor events and things. And Mike said, he doesn't work any outdoor event that doesn't have a covered stage because of the protection of his equipment and such. Right. But I was at one not too long ago that it was sideways raining, and I don't care how much you covered. I mean, they had tarps over everything on the stage, and it was blowing across that stage like it was no cover at all. So you can't always be too careful, I think, at one of these events. But the big question on the interwebs was pay. Some people were pissed because they weren't getting paid.
Well, somebody made a comment on this thread, and it made me laugh and shake my head. They were like, well, the venue should still, like, this is, if they cancel it before anybody arrives, like before the band arrives, they're like, well, the venue should pay anyways because they're still going to be open. I was like, I think people have this really strange idea that every penny that is spent at a bar just goes right in the owner's pocket. I mean, if we're a music venue and we have to cancel music, we don't get the customers. We lose a couple $1,000s. Like, it's bizarre to me. I was like, it sucks. It sucks for both people. It sucks for the people having the bands, and it sucks for the venues that, cater to live music. There is no winner. It's a risk that we got to take. And that was one of the reasons why I stopped doing my Strum Day Sunday, because it was an outdoor thing. And I felt horrible having to cancel it, but I didn't want to bring them inside because for my own reasons. So I felt bad, but I made it very clear within communication. Unfortunately, this is strictly an outdoor event. So if it gets canceled, it gets canceled. Now, if I was canceling something due to like a double booking, something that was 100% in my control and error, well, I always try to compensate with at least 50% of what I was going to pay them. But I don't feel like the bar should be held responsible unless everything's already unpacked.
Well, I mean, it's like snow days. And I had an event at your place. Was it this year or last year that, I mean, it was, it came this ice storm, right? At 4 or 5 o'clock. Well, it was gridlock in Cincinnati on the highways. I couldn't even get to you. Right. So, I mean, those things happen, and it's an equal responsibility, and you can't really predict Mother Nature, especially this time of year, because these storms blow up out of nowhere.
And it's hard to hold anybody responsible. Like, could you imagine if, because I've had bands cancel on me more than I've canceled on bands. Could you imagine if I held the band responsible for canceling on me last minute, being like, okay, well, you owe me this much money because this is what I'm about to lose? No, it's not. That's not right.
And that's a great point. I think when people have that mentality that we were booked and we should be paid, perhaps they should take a small look in the mirror sometimes and say, what happens if our lead singer has, vocal issues and can't play and we cancel? Are we responsible to pay the venue for the revenue lost? I mean, it's kind of an equal playing field.
That's what I'm saying. And it has to be seen as an equal playing field. It's unfair to point the fingers at anybody, in my opinion.
So if you're out there today, what's your thoughts on this, people, about cancellations and such and outdoor events? Dave Shores is one that I know has done outdoor events. He says, no, it's not only the gear and band, but we have a lot of support people, vendors, food trucks to consider, all those things. It is. And when you put on a festival type atmosphere with that, all those people are affected by weather. And I know with this weekend up by me, Austin Landing had Pineapple Fest, it was called. And everything, all the vendors were serving everything from pineapple pizza to you name it stuff. But it was Pineapple Fest and Party Punch was playing. And they moved it from Saturday to Sunday, the whole event. And they had the ability to do that, which helped, it helped the vendors and helped that. Otherwise, Saturday, it would have been a washout.
Like, I think as an artist, if you believe you should get paid, even though it got rained out, then you need to build a contract and put that in your contract. And then
I think Bob just said that. Yeah.
You need to leave it to the venue to decide if they want to book you or not.
Yeah, and he's got a great point there. It's likely why venues and events cancel early. And a lot of the city-run events, they work with contracts because they have a legal team for the city and all that, and they have a lot of liability risk when you're talking about, unfortunately, people going after people that have deep pockets if something goes wrong. And, something as simple as a storm blowing up and a lightning strike can cost a lot of money, and it can cost money in equipment and also cost their life. And I get why people edge on the side of safety versus edging on the side of let's just try to pull this thing off. And it's unfortunate because you see them cancel, Ceris, and then 15 minutes later, the sun comes out. It's beautiful. It's nice. But you can't. It was like last night. They said our thunderstorm here at my house was going to be over at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, it was still lightning to beat hell. And I mean, you can't ever predict it. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic, but man, people get jacked up over it.
They get really mad, and it makes me laugh because it's. I'm just coming from my point of view as a venue owner. It's almost like they attack, like some of the people have like it feels like they're attacking me in the sense of like, well, you booked us. You're right, I did, but I don't control the rain, and I go back to the fact I can count, like I barely have ever canceled a band, but I have been canceled on last minute. I couldn't even tell you how many times. And when that happens, I lose thousands of dollars.
Every time.
Every single time.
Yes, and I agree 100%.
I don't ask anybody to compensate me. I never would.
But I think it's reciprocal. I think if you're going to have the mentality that we deserve to be paid, if Mother Nature, something catastrophic shuts your show down, or worse, power outage. I mean, look at you. You had a power outage one night during a big show with Scotty Bratcher and Noah Witherspoon. Those guys kept playing in the dark with people's cell phones lighting it up. That's how cool the moment was. But
it was a cool moment.
Some people don't have that luxury, and your outdoor events like you were having your Sunday, whatever your strum days, sometimes your interior crowd on a Sunday, which you have a good one, doesn't really want that music to come inside.
Which is the reason why I strictly said this is an outdoor event, because they don't. And I want to make sure that I'm trying to make everybody happy. And that's why I canceled it, because you can't.
And there are certain nights in even music venues like yours that the crowd that's there is not a music crowd. I mean, they're there to talk. They're there to have fun together at the bar or whatever. And those times of day. I mean, you do. It'd be like, that's why you don't do happy hour music, because you have a great happy hour crowd who could give two craps about anybody playing on the stage while they're having happy hour. They just want to interact with each other, talk, and have fun.
Correct.
It's interesting, but these festivals, man, you put a lot of money into a festival or outdoor event. You sink, right down to renting porta-johns and all that stuff that has to happen for those outdoor events. And you want it to happen. You want it to go on. But, even if you look at last night, it was funny to watch the battling going on. Even the National Weather Service was fighting with Monroe on Facebook because Monroe set off their tornado sirens because a spotter saw a tornado, one of their law enforcement people or something. And the National Weather Service was losing their mind over it, saying, we are not issuing tornado warnings. There is no tornado warning, blah, 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 blah. It's ridiculous sometimes to people to think that we can predict the weather. I mean, that's a great example right there. And you know, somebody sees a tornado. If I were in my community when I was working public safety, I'd order the sirens to be set off too. Shame on me if it offended a couple people, but you know, if it saves some lives, it does it. And outdoor events are no different. I mean, you've got the weight of the whole thing on your shoulders when you're running a big festival or outdoor music event. And these churches that put them on, there's one in Cincinnati every freaking weekend, man. And those all have somebody that is a safety director assigned to it who has to make the ultimate call. It's when do we cancel? Do you want people walking through, ankle deep water when there's electric lines running to all the trailers and the stuff? I mean, there's so many variables there, but I get pissed when I see bands get on and vocalize that, you know, they canceled on us and we should be paid our full amount because we booked that day. And you take the risk when you book an outdoor show.
If you're afraid that you're going to get canceled, don't book outdoor shows. There you go.
Thank you, Bob Weber, for that. And Bob says, totally agree with Ceris.
It is. Thank you, Bob.
It is.
It's a lose-lose situation. There is not one winner when we have to cancel a band.
Yeah, and Ashley, you're right. You have to go, unfortunately, and sometimes the weatherman's wrong. It's the only job you can have in America. I think it'd be wrong 50% of the time and still keep your job. It really is, but it's just one of those things. Let's see what Shane had to say here. Yeah, he said it's a known hazard in the biz. That was the point I was trying to make. When you book an outdoor event, you run the risk of getting screwed, basically by Mother Nature. And that's kind of where it comes from. And yeah, a lot of places have cancellation policies where they pay 50% or whatever. But you think about that. If it's a fundraising event like one of those church festivals and they don't make their money that night, it's costing, when you take your money and run, it costs them a lot of money as well. Just as Ceris was saying in her bar when somebody cancels.
That's a ton of money.
Yes. And Steve's right. There's no winner. It sucks all around for everyone. And the legwork and timing that goes into an event, whether it's your event you had this weekend, Ceris, and you know that's a whole nother show in itself. We're going to talk about one day about all the work that goes into that type of event, or an outdoor event where you're looking at security, checkpoints, gates, barricades, putting a band in there, especially if you're bringing a national in and those kind of things. It's an immense amount of work for months and months and months. And in 15 minutes, Mother Nature can ruin it for you.
Yeah.
And not care at all. Not care a bit.
And guess who's out of the money? The venue.
Yeah. The event.
Not the artist.
Get that. Could you try?
No. Tell Siri to be quiet.
I don't know why she's talking to me. I wasn't even talking to her.
Yeah. She needs to get out of our channel.
I have a question for the whole group. If a sudden train having the band is set up playing and the rain ruins equipment,
I think Dave Shores is going to tell you the same thing I would, Ray. Any band that comes out with equipment doesn't have the proper covering for their equipment, and that you got to have it with you. It's got to be readily available. If there's even a chance of rain, you got to have it up on the stage somewhere so you can quickly cover. Because the sudden events happen. They do. And at
some point, we all just got to take responsibility for our choices too. So that's, right. Like I said, if it starts raining, I will always compensate. Sorry, my dog's screaming. Oh, I would always compensate the band, like if they're already set up, at least like 50%.
Thank you for that, Wanda. I get it. She's talking about Arena Rock show there. And she said didn't cancel, but yeah. And I don't think anybody ever wants to cancel. I mean, if you're going to book an event, especially a big festival type event, why in the world would you ever consider canceling? If you're going to cancel, you better do it months in advance. And I think the people down with Voice of America are dealing with that coming up this weekend. This coming in a few weeks. I think they're dealing with some of that. And sometimes people will cancel. Sometimes people. Rick Kern wanted to know if you were playing the banjo, Ceris, by all the movement.
No, that's all the dogs. I just had to let them out. I'm sorry.
So what's your thoughts on this, people? I'm getting to your comments here. I know there's a ton of them on here. Let me get to that. And yeah, Dave says he has extra tarps for bands to use, but their equipment is their responsibility. It is. It's the band's responsibility. And you can't take that liability on putting on a festival. I mean, especially when the band walks in, you look up at the top of the stage, and if it's a little tarp covering the stage and all that, you're going to get rained on if it rains. You better know it. I mean, and the wind factor of it blowing in. I mean, you can have the best band shell covered stage at all. It depends on the direction of the storm, and it's going to screw you some days. Where are you going?
I was sitting to let the dogs in.
No, okay.
They can't make up their mind.
I don't know where mine is. He was in here a minute ago, one of them. All right, so let's see some other comments here. Hopefully you have your equipment insured, and that it's hard to insure band equipment. It is. It's very costly. We know that. And sometimes you say, is it worth the price of an amp to pay that insurance premium every year? I don't know. You know, that's a whole nother story in itself. Do you insure your band equipment? But has anybody out there been canceled on that you got paid? That's what I want to know. Anybody out there that got canceled where you actually got paid, or you had 50% in your contract or something? We'd like to hear from you.
Because of weather or because of what? Weather.
Yeah, I'm talking about weather here. I don't want to talk about cancellation policies in bars. That's a whole nother show too. We've done that. So Cincy Blues Fest handled the rain cancellation problems pretty well Saturday. Thank you for that, Bill. And so should venues start investing in both indoor and outdoor stages? Well,
it's up to the venue.
Some places can't. There are places, and I can refer back to the one I know real well is Hollywood. When he was down at Pullman Lanes, they would have an outdoor event scheduled. If it looked like it was going to rain, he'd always post, "We're moving it to the inside stage," and that worked fine for them. It wasn't a problem. Some venues don't like to do that or have other events going inside. I mean, I've seen that happen at some VFWs and Moose Lodges that have things outside, and then they can't move inside because there's a private party inside in their big room or something.
I mean,
like
it's kind of impossible for every venue to invest in an outdoor stage if there's not an outdoor area. I think.
Yeah, Shane, I agree 100%.
What about venue canceling you and demand that you should be paid? You are a fucking loser. Agreed.
10-4.
Personally, going on Facebook and complaining and pointing the finger at any venue or any other bands or like no matter what it is, in my opinion, you're a loser. Like that's just not right by any means, in my opinion.
Yeah, Eric, thank you for understanding and being one of the ones who is the good guys there, because yeah, you know it's going to happen when you book outside. It's going to happen eventually to you.
So that's why I always say, if you choose to book outdoor gigs, that is your choice, and it's the venue's choice to book outdoor gigs. If you feel that you should put in a contract that you should still get paid, good luck. I probably wouldn't sign that. But we all have these, like, it needs to be noted that the band is not the only one losing out when they get canceled. Just to keep that, like, the venue's losing out a ton as well.
Can I tell you, your dog is the loudest drinker I think I've ever heard?
I can't believe you heard that. That was so far away.
Yes. He's lapping up the water. Steve says, from a personal perspective, I'd rather be canceled before I drag my gear out. Well, yeah, everybody would.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ultimate there if it's going to happen. And maybe that's why they pull the trigger so early on some of these things.
So. I would think so.
You know, I get it. And any, like I said, any of the municipal events are going to pull the trigger early if there's a chance of lightning, because they've been told by a ginormous legal team, which protects the interest of the city,
that
don't have a choice. You don't want to do it in the lightning because it's too dangerous.
Right.
And I went from doing a concert for years called Day in the Country, which eventually became Country Concert, but K99 put it on for many years up here. And it went from the beginning where nobody even had a safety plan in place to where by the end of that thing, we had lightning detection equipment. We had all kinds of stuff. If lightning was within 10 miles, we stopped the show and everybody went to their cars. And, you know, you have to do that. It's a safety factor. And it means people get canceled when there's a timeline and there's as a headliner band or whatever, people lose their spot on the stage. It's a shame, but that's just the way it works. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at Rick Kern's comment. He's saying that he gets 100% if he gets canceled due to weather cancellations.
I'm gonna have to go down to that one and pop it up there. Only when under contract have I gotten paid due to weather cancellation. We typically get 100% if cancellation happens day of the show, especially out of town. That's a typical rider contract in some of these shows for out of town bands that travel. It is, and that's the risk that the venue's taken. The venue's taken a huge risk. I don't know what like Blue Note's policy is or any of that on any of this. They bring nationals into the outside stage.
Well,
they have the ability to go inside.
Those national acts usually in their contracts state that you must pay no matter rain or whether it's like perform or not, even if it's their cancellation.
Did Vixen have a cancellation policy in theirs?
Yeah,
you had this. What's that?
If they cancel, we still pay.
Wow. And that's even if the band cancels?
Yeah, I mean, there was something more to that, but for the most part.
And when you get these contracts, Ceris, for some of these national acts, do you have an attorney review them, or do you just pretty much read them and hope for the best?
I have a friend who's an attorney who will read them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's another one that's kind of intimidating when you see some of these giant contracts come down from the national acts. But as a local performer who's been put on the bill for a festival, you're at the mercy of Mother Nature. You're at the mercy of a security threat happening. I mean, there's things right now that, I've seen them cancel shows for security purposes. And we canceled a parade in the town I was in because the KKK, who has the legal right to march, put in themselves in the parade. So it happens. Yeah. I mean, they do. In this country, you have a legal right to do those kind of things. And they ended up canceling the parade due to weather. But it happened, and they didn't even really show up. So it's just, they just go out and do those kind of things to intimidate. But that's just the way it sounds. Let me see what else we got here. I've missed a bunch of comments. Did you see anything else that looks...
I'm laughing at James Moss's comment.
Just brought this topic up to his good buddy Tim Snyder. Says also, if you get canceled for being double booked, you should be compensated. That's a whole nother show too. Double bookings are happening more and more. I'm seeing, it always happens when the darn bar loses the booking person. And then somebody takes the book with them.
I just had a double booking and I offered to pay 50%. That's when I offered to pay 50%, is when it's my fault.
Well, at least you own it. See, that's the good thing.
Well, I mean, we all make mistakes. It doesn't make us a bad person to make a mistake, but at the same time, I've never canceled a gig the day of or the week before, or like this, like I've been canceled on. If I've double booked, I would say 99% of the time I catch it months in advance.
I'm laughing at Steve's comment here because people win lawsuits. That's the root of all evil right there, because their coffee was too hot. Yeah, the whole thing with being able to sue people for everything today is just absolutely ridiculous.
I'm so tired. Yeah.
Yep. And Ray says the moral of the story in particular is have a contract. And I would say that a bunch of the festivals that are booking local acts at the festivals are going to, if you say, I want a contract with you, they're going to say, well, find somebody else to play. And it happens.
Like these small venues, it's the same thing. Be careful. Be careful what you put in your contract, and just be realistic. Don't be greedy, because I have no problem not signing a contract if I think you're being unfair or greedy.
Right. And that's funny. Dave Shores brings up a great point, and I've seen this more and more lately, is if you'll look when you go to an outdoor show, if any of the pro companies are doing production and bringing the stages in and that, they have an anemometer on top of the stage which reads wind. And if that wind gets too much, that stage gets lowered because of what happened at the Indiana Fair or whatever with Sugarland. And there was people killed when the stage collapsed because of a thunderstorm that blew in. And man, it can happen in a second. So, all bad things, unfortunately, and legalese is written around something bad that happened. And, these outdoor events, you get some yahoos too, Dave, some people that don't do professional production, and they put up a stage that I don't know if I'd want to play under it, let alone in a windstorm. So those kind of things can happen as well. Man, we're getting a ton of comments here, Karis. Anything else?
Just reading. Ray Broderick said, or toss them another gig or two. I do that as well. I usually offer them 50% and toss them another extra gig. As a patron paying for an outdoor show, I take the risk for rain cancellation and accept my loss. Maybe reschedule for another date. Well, I wish everybody was like that.
Me too. Yeah. Wasn't that a writer in the show?
So funny to me how many people, even with outdoor shows, like at these small venues, like a small business, small venues, how many people are like, well, I paid $5 or $10 for this ticket. I mean, it's crazy to me how many people, how much money they think that we're putting in our pockets. Even the bands, and I look at what bands are saying on Facebook, and I keep that in the back of my head, because why in the world would I want to do business with somebody like that?
Isn't that funny how social media can drive your decision making on even booking somebody after you watch their social stuff? It's really funny.
It's actually had more of an impact in the last year or so than it ever has. Like, I can tell a lot by a person if I want to do business, unfortunately, if I'm going to do business with them or not. There's a lot of greed out there.
Hey, Shane, that's a great topic after the Miranda Lambert incident over the weekend. That's a good topic there about that. And performers getting things thrown at them and hit in the head and all that stuff when they're on stage. That's interesting. And Miranda called out a couple of girls for taking selfies, and she's taking a lot of heat over it. But I think she had reached her breaking point on the part that, these people could give two craps about me singing up here. I'm irrelevant. It's all about the selfies with them there on stage and that kind of stuff. So I get it. I mean, it's you reach a breaking point when the cell phones become everybody's life, and that's what it's become. And thank you, Steve. That's blunt and to the point.
True.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you get opinionated on social media, shame on you if you're a musician. That's all I can say. You're losing half your audience most of the time when you do that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, you're playing a sold out arena. Yeah, I get it. I get it, Shane. And took a selfie of Brad Gillis Friday and got the top of your. Yeah, I mean, what drives all this and why we were talking about this today? There's been a lot of buzz on social media. And again, I'm going to be quite honest. I saw people talking about it and complaining about getting canceled on, and it changed my entire opinion of them and the band.
Yeah. Like
it did. I got to be honest with you.
Like when first of all, people that bitch and complain in general, especially like publicly, like, because they're basically shaming other people. I don't have much respect for that in general. So I will very quickly change my opinion.
Right. And yeah, some bands are going to this cell phones not allowed thing. Some are going to those little pouches. They get locked in. You get it back at the end of the show, all that kind of stuff. That's extreme, but I understand it. I do. Because cell phones are annoying as hell at a concert. People get them up in front of everybody. Nobody can see. It causes fights. It's just, and then they're going live to their one friend for 45 minutes in front of you. Yeah, I always look and see how many people the numbers are in that little red thing that says how many people are live with them, and it's hilarious. I had a lady at Earth, Wind, and Fire one night. Literally they played 75 minutes. She went live on Facebook for 75 minutes from her phone with one person watching. And who's going to watch it later?
That whole live thing is another thing that just way to fuck the venue again, right?
Yeah. Well, we've touched on that. Musicians going live from there. I mean, all because they got to put their Venmo up and get tips from it from their people who are sitting at home door dashing and not going out and paying money in the venues. It's Facebook Live killed the music star. It's like a song. We should write it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that. I do. And I enjoy videos after the fact sometimes, like Bill Takes and those kind of things when I can't be at an event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps me see what happened and love to see some things like that. And they capture moments you don't always see even when you're in the venue.
Yeah.
But it's when the musician puts that camera on stage and sits there and plays their entire night on Facebook Live, why come out?
Why?
And that's off
You're
topic.
literally just hurting the venue's business, but I guess those people just don't care. So
Yeah, it's the way it works. Well, this has been a good topic today. It has, and it's really relevant to what went on over the weekend because we had a lot of pop-up storms and things that hit. And if you got canceled, sorry. Maybe next time, you can have a good, pretty day. And festivals struggle too. They do with making money and those kind of things. And
being your festival being rained out an entire weekend. Do you know how much money that is?
Yeah,
that's like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes, and somebody's got to pay that.
Bitching on Facebook because they didn't get paid.
Rumpke's going to send you a bill for the trash receptacles and the porta-johns. You're going to get a bill for that, and they don't care if there was 1,000 people there or nobody. You're going to get paid. You're going to pay them. And
I just need to be more understanding and kinder and think about. I get it's a very selfish world out there. I get it. But if you really want to get booked, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't want to get booked. I don't know.
Chris Will, that is a great statement. Thank you for that. That is fantastic. And building relationships
awesome.
And partnerships.
That's
it
awesome.
is. And if everybody thought like that, it'd be great.
And if we could afford to do that, it'd be great too.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. But hi, Billy Sutherland from White Knuckle Weekend. Thank you for being here. All right, Karis, we got to go soon. Let's get into this or that at the end of the show. We didn't do it last week because you were by phone. So let's throw it out there. I've got some for you today. You ready?
Yeah.
Bad haircut or bad dye job?
Bad haircut.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Bad dye job.
You think?
Yeah.
All right. Talking pets or talking babies?
But what do I prefer?
Yes.
Talking pets.
Winning the lottery or finding your soulmate? I think I asked you that once before.
Finding my soulmate.
Cheesy. Okay. Wow. Misquoted movies or mistaken music lyrics?
Which is more annoying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I do the first one a lot.
Test the waters or dive into the deep end?
I dive in.
I know you do. Let's see. Ketchup or ranch?
Ketchup.
Cell phone in the bathroom or no cell phone in the bathroom?
Oh, cell phone. If I'm taking a dump, I need something to do other than poop.
Sort by price or by rating?
Rating.
Eagles or Eddie Money?
Is Rick Kern still watching?
Probably.
I'll say Eagles.
All right. Sauce on the side or sauce on the wings?
Both.
Crunchy or smooth peanut butter?
Smooth.
Zombies or vampires?
Vampires are sexy.
Funny story or a one-liner joke?
Oh, God, I don't have the patience for a story, so one-liner joke.
Sneezing or coughing? That's you today.
Yeah, I'm both. The sneezing is very lovely.
Air guitar or air drums?
I play the air drums because I used to play drums.
I throw the stick in the air like that and catch it. I do. It's awesome. Let's see what else we got. Robots or dinosaurs?
Well, I've never seen a dinosaur, so I'd like to see a dinosaur.
I'm going to food for you now. Guacamole or salsa?
As long as it doesn't have cilantro in it, guacamole.
You're like Mrs. Hall around town. She hates cilantro. She's got that taste like soap thing.
Disgusting.
Speeding ticket or parking ticket?
What's cheaper?
Probably parking.
Let's take the parking.
All right. Silly hats or silly socks?
Oh, I love silly socks.
Oh. Be Instagram famous or infomercial famous?
Don't care.
Really?
Infomercial. Instagram.
I can see you doing infomercials at like 3 a.m. on a television set that I turn on. You know, you're selling the.
I'll do it. I'll do Instagram if I get to. If my reason for being famous is just being a dork and making people laugh. I'll do that.
Wow, a store where every item is free, or a restaurant where every dish is free?
Restaurant.
I agree. Passwords or secret handshakes?
Secret handshakes.
Loud neighbors or nosy neighbors?
Oh, nosy.
And last but not least, babies dressed as animals or animals dressed as humans?
Animals dressed as humans.
And there you have it, everybody. That's Ceris's This or That today. Thanks for joining us for Joy and Judgment here at All Around Town Radio. Ceris, it's always a pleasure to have you here, even though you're rocking today, like you're on the Titanic. Are you in a rocking chair?
I am.
It's nice out on your porch. I see plants in the background. You're all right, you know? Look at that. How pretty. How pretty. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with Whatever Wednesday coming your way. Next week, I'll have Chelsea and the Chain on with me on our Wednesday with the band. Join us for that one. That won't be this week, but next week. And again, our condolences go out to Chelsea and the Chain on the loss of their guitar player. Sad stuff there. And we hate to hear that. That's just a terrible thing to happen. And Ceris, you got anything else for everybody today?
I want to say thank you to everybody for the amount of kind words that were on the Facebook about this past week, and it literally brought me to tears. And I just want to say thank you. It seriously doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm just extremely appreciative of everybody and of everything. And thank you.
You're a rock star, my dear. We love you and what you do. And it was so much fun to be there with you this weekend and see you in your element and all the stuff going on. And man, I if they missed the show yesterday, go back and watch Rick Kern, Kathy Laverde, and Gina McCann, 3/5 of the Bell Dwellers. And I missed something yesterday, and I got to throw it out there to everybody just for a minute. We neglected, because we got so caught up in our conversation, to really give props to those that weren't on with us. And that was Steve Krakus, who slayed the guitar, and Travis Hanna, who's an incredible drummer.
And Mark, the sound guy.
Well, yeah, and Mark, we mentioned that on the post yesterday, but I missed him too, and I should have talked about him a whole lot because he made them sound.
You know,
perfect.
I'd like to give Mark some props. When Kip Winger played, the amount of compliments that he gave about Mark was insane. Like, he was like, this is the best sound I've ever, like, this is incredible. Like, he did not shut up about him. And I just think that's amazing. I think he did so good. I think that's amazing. Mark's
got it down, and he had it dialed in the other night, and what a great show that was with the Bell Dwellers, and a wonderful show with Vix and Ceris, and I
jam session was great.
I know. Go ahead and rub it in a little more, okay? Because I missed most of that, and I'm sorry I did. I should have just stayed out past my bed.
I stayed there till 1:30.
That's late for you.
Yeah.
It's very late for you. Dewey says Mark is one of the best. Kevin says Mark is the best. He is a true pro, and I love any time I walk in and see him running the board. Yeah. You know it's going to be quality. It is. And Greg, thank you for that as well. And what's Ray got to say real quick? Found alumni family because of the Bell and the Bear. It's such a cool place. Yes. Bell and the Bear. Ceris, you rock. You do.
Rock.
Travis is a stud, Steve. Yeah, he is. And Steve got home at 3:15. That's way past his bedtime, too. It is. He had to drive north here where we are. Thanks for watching today, guys. We got to get out of here. I'm going to head to Mr. Burroughs Tavern. I'll be hosting trivia tonight and name that tune tomorrow night at Heather's. That's what's going on in my world. And we'll see you out and about, seeing live local music and the bands and venues that bring it to you. Get out there and support them. Ceris, thank you for being my co-host with the most.
See you later, alligators.
Adios.
Working for the weekend, then I want to see a show. I flip on the book of face. Yeah, I know where to go.
I didn't have to use this one today very much. How about that?
I swore a lot.
Oh yeah, but not to the extent, you know. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. We're ending the broadcast.